Yeah, so a lot of people are asking me, am I going to fly again? And the question is, of course I am. I can't go my whole life without flying. Now, depending on the time of the year, that's when I get nervous. Wintertime is not always the best. This last crash in Toronto, if you ask me when I look at the footage, it looks like the runway has too much snow on it or ice. So I think that was probably a big factor. I can't tell if the landing gear crashed. They just released some new video today. Let me play this real quick. Now, right there, I want to pause. It just looks like the runway has a lot of ice and snow, especially right there. That looks like a lot of snow for the runway, and landing in that looks kind of spooky.
Oh, 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 no, 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 no.
Yeah, so it looks like to me, it looks like the plane skidded. And like I said, the snow looks like it was all over the runway. So for me personally, I mean, I don't like to fly in the wintertime, I'll be honest with you. But the worst, I would say the worst landing I ever had was about maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I was landing in JFK coming from Chicago, and it was a snowstorm. It was in January, and that was the roughest landing I ever felt. The turbulence, it was a little bit hectic getting closer to the airport, but when we landed at JFK, that was a rocky landing, and it was actually snowing. So there's been so much going on as far as plane crashes. Everybody's kind of linking all these things together. The first one was in DC with the Black Hawk helicopter or military helicopter colliding with that airplane. That was one issue. Then right after that, we had the air crash in Philly, which was a small jet, carrying a child, a medical situation where they had, I think it was 7 people on board. That one I think was hydraulic failure. And then after that, we had another small air crash, I believe in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think people should link all these things together. I think commercial airline travel is still very safe. But the most unsafe parts are always takeoff and landing. So one of the things about this video that's very interesting is that you see the passengers, thank God they had their seatbelts on. Now, I've been known to take off my seatbelt sometimes a little bit early before landing, but most of the time I have it on. This situation lets you know, keep that seatbelt on because they were upside down.
And amazingly, all 80 people, the passengers and crew who were on board, survived this crash. 2 remain in the hospital tonight. Some passengers describing the scary moments their plane flipped over and the smell of jet fuel filled the air.
Absolute initial feeling is just need to get out of this.
It was mass chaos. I was upside down. The lady next to me was upside down.
New video shows Delta Flight 4819.
Yeah, this is wild. It does look like a lot of snow. I can't tell if there's ice on that runway, but I'm just wondering, man, like, do they actually get out there and immediately shovel the runway and get the stuff off as far as snow and or ice? Do they get on it right away? I never questioned that, but this flight makes me question that because it looks like a lot of people speculated whether the landing gear collapsed. I can't really tell. When it did land, it kind of tipped on one side. One of the wings got ripped off. And then once, I guess, one wing one wing gets ripped off, the other side is still creating lift because it's still going kind of fast. So I think that's why the airplane flipped over, but it doesn't appear that the landing gear collapsed. It looks like they just started to slide on that snowy runway.
Bliss landing hard at Toronto's Pearson Airport yesterday before flipping over, bursting into flames.
There's this giant pop crack. It's this super loud bang kind of thing happens, and then everything just goes literally sideways.
Passenger video shows the chaos on board, some hanging upside down by their seatbelts.
When we could smell the gas, and then we looked over, and the windows were there was just liquid pouring over the small windows.
A flight attendant shouts for people to leave everything and get out.
The crew of Delta Flight 4819 heroically led passengers to safety, evacuating a jet that had overturned on the runway.
More than 24 hours after the crash, the plane remains upside down on the tarmac. Officials looking at every factor, including days of tough winter weather.
On Thursday and Sunday, we got more than 20 inches, 50 centimeters of accumulated snow.
Some passengers wondering if it may have played a role in the crash.
Hell yeah, it looks like it did make a role, did play a role. Like I said, if I had to guess, I would say the runway is a little bit too snowy. I did watch some information with a pilot who was talking about this. He was saying that they were going a little bit too slow as far as the descent, and they were, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look like they were going too slow. It looks like they had good speed coming down to land. I'm not a pilot, so I'm no expert on the matter, but it does look like once they landed, if you look at it, it looks like once they landed, they begin to slide. So if you watch this, and I'm going to slow it down. Let me see if I can slow it down just a little bit, because it looks like, let me go about 3/4 of the way as far as speed. It looks like as they landed, this thing was starting to
Some
slide.
passengers wondering if it may have played a role in the crash.
The winds were super gusty. The snow had
There is crosswinds that play a part into it. So I don't know the exact mile per hour where a plane is not able to land. There's a particular speed as far as crosswinds where ATC or air traffic control will just say, you know what, you can't land, and they'll divert it or whatever the case is. But this is usually, as far as the crosswinds, that's usually determined before they even get close to landing. It's usually upon final approach, from what I understand, and ATC will let them know what the crosswinds are, or the pilot will ask ATC what the crosswinds are in regards to landing. So I don't think they had crosswinds on that level that would cause it to flip over, but I do think that snow, that slide, it's just like if you drive in a car and you hit the brakes, man, when you're landing, I believe you're going about maybe 250 miles an hour when you hit that runway. So they're going pretty fast. And if you hit some snow and a little bit of ice, it's looking crazy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you still going to fly? Are you worried? I think that, again, all these accidents are not all in one. It does seem like there's a lot happening between last month, January, and now February. But wintertime is one of those times where you do have issues like that. The DC accident was definitely preventable. That was really just a matter of pilot error from the helicopter. That plane should have landed, and it's sad because they were literally, like a minute from landing. But thank God that this crash in Toronto, that they survived. They flipped over and everybody survived. From what I understand, there are some injuries, but keep that seatbelt on, because it just goes to show, if anybody didn't have their seatbelt on and they landed like this and flipped over, you could definitely get killed or, break a lot of bones. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you flying again? Crucial Convo.